Fanfic Corner, presented by Jennifer. The new Eeveelutions, Chapter 6, Journey to Find the Lost, Part 1. Breeze woke up to the beautiful sound of bird Pokemon singing outside a nearby window. Her eyes fluttered open and she leapt off the bed. Stretching her legs and wings, Breeze picked up her scarf and slipped it around her neck. Her wings flapped as she hovered quietly above the bed, tidying up. Finally, she landed gracefully on the floor and closed her wings. I hope we find Shadow soon, she thought, silently opening the door and slipping out into the warmth of a fire. Her shadow danced behind her as she stood in front of the blazing pile of wood. Glancing around, Breeze had pulled a pillow off the couch and placed it on the floor. She had also found a cup of hot cocoa, which was surprisingly warm. Then she sat down and drank her cocoa, while thoughts swam around her head. What if we don't find him? What'll happen then? I can't lose Shadow. Breeze didn't realize, but she had started growing feelings for the nocturnal eeveelution. Everything about him made Breeze happy. The way he joked around with her and others. How he fails at baking cookies when they spent some of the nights under the full moon gazing up at the stars. Hot tears pricked Breeze's ocean blue eyes as her thoughts of losing Shadow grew. A long creak from a door could be heard further down the hallway. Lightning had found his way to where Breeze was minutes away from crying. "Breeze, what's wrong?" he asked, worry clouding his eyes. Breeze perked her ears at her brother's voice and looked at him. He saw something he hadn't seen in Breeze since he had left their trainer. Sadness and fear glazed her once bright, happy eyes. Lightning sat down at her side, trying to comfort her. "It's okay. Tell me what's wrong," he said, embracing his younger sister in a hug. She sobbed quietly before letting out her words. "What if we don't find Shadow?" Lightning's black orbs widened at Breeze's words. "I never thought of that. Shadow had made Breeze happy these past few days. And if we never find him again, who knows what'll happen to her," he thought, hugging Breeze tighter. "We'll find him. I know it." What makes you so sure?" Breeze stumbled on her small words, turning her head towards Lightning. "I just have this feeling." "Thanks to you, we've been captured by this stupid human," Shadow snapped at Gem, who was silently curled up beside him. "Thanks to you, I'll never see Breeze again." Shadow choked on those words, and at the thought of never seeing Breeze again, he sat down and silently stared out the window. Shadow and Gem were arguing in the forest earlier, which caused a human to catch them. Shadow, who was caught by surprise, pushed Gem in front of him, trying to escape. She was caught in a cage, and so was Shadow. His glowing red orb showed anger dancing inside, while Gem quietly lay down in the cage, accepting her fate. The two eeveelutions stayed quiet until the human opened the back door of the huge thing they were in and took the cage out. Gem sat up, her eyes glazed with fear. The human's right side was covered by their hair, and they stood back and looked at Shadow and Gem. "Maybe I can breed them." They started moving towards their home. Gem's fearful gaze softened while Shadow grew annoyed and scared. "Nah, I can catch another Eevee. Come meet your new friends," the human called out as an Eevee raced out of the house. It wore a collar around its neck and had a well-groomed brown fur. The Eevee's eyes glittered with excitement as it spotted Shadow and Gem. The human picked up the cage and took the eeveelutions inside the garden into a pen. There they opened the rusted cage and Shadow bolted out, leaving Gem in front of the human. The Eevee watched Gem with great interest before padding over to him. "Hi. Nice to meet you." Shadow turned and locked gazes with the young Eevee before him. "I'm Shadow. Now, would you mind telling me how to get out of this place?" The Eevee's eyes widened as they looked for their words. "Why would you want to leave?" Shadow turned his head back towards the fence. "Because I don't belong here. I belong out there." He gazed towards the forest. The Eevee looked back at Gem. "Then who's she?" "Gem. She came from the same place I did." The Eevee looked at Gem. "Gem seems to like you a lot. Perhaps you could leave and she could stay?" Shadow went silent and turned to the Eevee. "You'll have to ask her yourself." He watched the Eevee through slit red orbs as they spoke to Gem. Gem seemed shocked as she pelted towards Shadow. "You're leaving? Why? You're so nice." "I don't belong here. I belong out there with Breeze and everyone else." Gem's heart sank at Breeze's name. After the time they spent together alone, Gem was sure Shadow would like her, but now she knew he still liked Breeze. "Fine, you can go. Tell the others I stayed with the Eevee. She's better than all of you combined, she retorted. Okay, see ya, Shadow responded, bounding over the fence and racing away into the forest. Shadow was free from both the Eevee and Gem, but there was still one problem. Where is home? Lightning and Breeze were eating Poke Puffs with Spooks as they had finished getting ready to head out. So, mind telling me about Gem and Shadow? Spooks asked before shoveling another Poke Puff into his mouth. Breeze watched in disgust as she took small bites out of hers. Lightning didn't seem to mind Spooks because he was just as disgusting as he was. Sure, Breeze muttered before continuing. Shadow, he's an Umbreon. He usually wears a black spike wristband around his right forepaw. He's more of a nocturnal Pokemon than anything else. Gem, she's an S-band. Very stubborn, usually wears a holly bow around her left ear. Madly in love with Shadow. She scowled under her breath. Spooks was listening, but he was chewing very loudly. So was Lightning. Why do they eat like that? She thought in disgust. If we see them, we'll most likely be able to know who they are like that. Breeze continued, flashing a deadly stare at Lightning and Spooks to be quiet. Both swallowed their food and didn't take any more bites. So we're looking for these eeveelutions. Spooks held up a picture that had both Shadow and Gem in it. Exactly, Lightning exclaimed, amazed at how it resembled the two perfectly. Well, let's go find them before the sun starts to hide again. Breeze guessed Spooks was referring to the sunset, but shrugged it off. Ready? Ready as I'll ever be, Breeze said cheerfully along with Lightning. They all pelted out of Spooks' home into what seemed like a never-ending forest, leaving nothing but paw prints on and their aromas behind.